Welcome back. Democrats are in a DEFCON 3 panic mode about President-elect Trump. But with the post-defeat, Hillary Clinton is now in hibernation. Is another politician the real danger to freedom? Chuck Schumer just became Senate Minority Leader. He has strong ties to Wall Street, voted for bailouts, and likes to regulate everything from breakfast cereals to airline legroom. So is he the most dangerous man in Washington? Joining me now, the most dangerous man I know, editor-in-chief of Reason.com and Reason TV, Nick Gillespie. I would say pretty confidently that if there is anyone that is truly anti-libertarian in the Senate, it would be Charles Schumer.
Chuck Schumer is a one-stop shop for everything that is bad about politics, everything that is bad about New Yorkers, pretty much everything that's bad about America, as far as I'm concerned. And he, as you were saying, he has in the past, he's tried to regulate the cost of breakfast cereal.
Yeah, that's not a joke. I mean, it sounds like a funny punchline.
He doesn't understand that there are house brands of Captain Crunch, and he was actually going after General Mills and, you know, saying, oh, it's too much to have Fruit Loops. And then he's the guy who banned Four Loko and juice with caffeine, because he's never heard of Irish coffee, the legroom on airlines, and then more seriously, and I mean, because he will not have a great deal of power, although in the Senate as minority leader, you can checkmate a lot, and he's very good at that. But he was big for the bailouts. He is terrible, as far as I'm concerned, on foreign policy. He's very interventionist, and he's not particularly good on free trade. He likes protected markets. He likes being, having the government involved with every transaction that can possibly happen. So he's very, very bad. I mean,
and in that regard alone, he's bad on guns, too.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's terrible on guns.
Yeah,
and this is where
hypocritical, as we've seen him at the factory here in New York State.
He is, and one of the things that is good, and I think this election kind of showed, both Trump and Hillary did not do well. I mean, one of them won barely, but the turnout was not particularly great, and people like Schumer, he's a dying breed of politician, and there are people like him on the right. I mean, somebody like Jeff Sessions, who's the senator from Alabama, who really gave Trump his immigration, his anti-immigration platform, and his anti-free trade. That's all Jeff Sessions, and he's going to, he might be the Secretary of Defense or whatever, but he's kind of the counterweight. And these are models of politicians that I hope are dying, because these are why only 26% of people call themselves Republican and 29% call themselves Democrat.
Well, it's also why Nancy Pelosi saw her vote for leadership put off yesterday, because some of these younger House Democrats are looking around going, we can't keep losing elections. They have to be doing the same thing in the Senate. Now, is it good news or bad news that he appointed a 10-senator strong leadership team, which is 20%, more than 20% of the delegation?
Yeah, I mean, here, what the Trump victory, I think, is, it gives us a time for a kind of reboot. I was not for Trump, I was not for Hillary, but what Trump allows is a moment where we can say, okay, look, we've got two unpopular candidates, we have two unpopular parties, one is dominant in Washington. We all need a reboot, including within the Republican Congress, and so there are people like Rand Paul and Jeff Flake and Mike Lee and Justin Amash and Thomas Massie who are going to upend the Republican Party business as usual. These are guys who are truly in favor of constitutional government, of limited government, of smaller government, of more deregulation across the board. And I think, we might see coming out of this is the optimistic scenario, that both the Democrats and the Republicans kind of rejuvenate themselves from the younger portions of their party and in a more freedom-oriented way.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. And have these more pro-liberty factions. It's interesting because the House Freedom Caucus is oftentimes painted as being ultra-conservative when really, I mean, they are literally conserving. They are trying to make the size of government smaller, which will benefit us all.
I think so, and hopefully they won't fall in line. The last time we had a full Republican Congress and a Republican president, even apart from the war issues, which are gigantic, spending on domestic issues was out the door, and that can't happen anymore.
Yeah, and I remember realizing that George W. Bush was not vetoing any bills.
That's right.
And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is so dangerous. And then of course he has a Democratic president after him who essentially
blew the jams out of the more.
Well, thank you so much for coming by.
Thanks.
The Reason Media Awards last night not only were fantastic and went off without a hitch, it was so great to see my mentor and colleague John Stossel honored
Phenomenal. He was our Lanny Friedlander Prize winner, an annual award we give for the named after the founder of Reason Magazine. John Stossel is just a wonderful advocate for liberty and freedom, as are you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. Excellent.